Well, hello friends, Coach Bob with you, and welcome to yet another Worship on Wheels. Another week has gone by. Hope you're enjoying the fall, and Thanksgiving's behind us, and Christmas is ahead of us, and everything's getting super excited. All the Christmas lights are going up, and trees are up, and man, I'm eating pie and getting fat, sassy. Well, today we're going to talk about something that is near and dear to my heart, and this goes way back. You know, when my dad was in the thick of thin things with me as a boy, he used to say, "Those who can do," you know, and he would finish it with some, we'll just say, some colorful things after that. But I remember one time, I used to work at Bayliner Manufacturing Plant. Yep, I built boats. Can you believe that? I did. I was a young man, and I was a hull laminator, a stiffener, and a gel coater, as a matter of fact. I pretty much did everything in the lamination department, and we used to joke about the Bayliner boats. We'd go, "You buy one as long as you're a great swimmer." I ended up being a swim coach. I don't know if that was just total irony or not. But I remember we had a time, and I was young and I was cocky. I mean, I was real cocky. We had some upper management guys back there. One was an engineer, and the other was like some, developer or whatever. But they were really high management guys from the national office, which I think was like up in Washington State, and we were building a hull, and if anyone who's ever worked in fiberglass, this thing was getting ready to cook off, which means the fiberglass was starting to get hard, and the hull was going to be ruined if we didn't get all the air out of it. These guys were discussing how much resin, how much methyl ethyl ketone, how much this, how much that, blah 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 blah. And I turned around, I said, "Those who can do," and I'm the only one doing a daggum thing. "Get to work. This thing's about to cook off, and we're going to have to throw this boat away." Needless to say, I wasn't very popular, but I will say that the boat ended up turning out okay, but I squeegeed all the air out of it. They did nothing but stand there and watch me work and run their mouths. So without further ado, let's hear the Bible verse and how that applies to anything that I'm talking about, or even if it does. All right, so the Bible verse for today is James chapter 1, verses 22 through 24. It says this: "Be doers of the word, and not just hearers only. Otherwise, you are deceiving yourselves. For anyone who hears the word, but does not carry it out like a man, is like one who looks at his face in the mirror, and after observing himself, goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like." All right. So, do you ever feel like that? You're that guy who looks in the mirror and forgets who he is? I'm going to tell you, I do. Maybe not so much from the perspective of doing and not doing, but I will say that when I look in the mirror and I see this old geezer looking back at me, I'm always surprised. I expect to see that 17-year-old kid with a fro. Yes, I had the fro. Oh, I did. I was looking good, man. I was had the Greg Brady fro. Did you have the Greg Brady fro too? Oh, I bet you did. You just don't want to admit it. And then we had the pre-mullet, right? It wasn't called a mullet, but we had the mullet. But I digress, because that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, being hearers and doers. But it does, make you go, who am I? What do I look like? All right. So, hearing and doing. Man, hearing and doing, that's a big deal, isn't it? It really is. There are so many people out there who want to tell you how to live your life, and then you look at their life and it is a total train wreck. They want to tell you how to work on a piece of equipment, and you look at theirs and it is falling apart. It's amazing to me how a lot of people seem to know things, but they don't maintain their own stuff. They're not doers. They're hearers and tellers. They're not doers. And we've got too many people on this planet now that want to hear and want to tell everybody else what to do, but they don't want to do anything. And I don't think that's very cool. And it's certainly not healthy to society. You know, I was working on my Triumph Speed Triple last week, and I was putting a new battery in it. Well, the battery has a rubber strap that goes from the front, which is metal, to the back, which is plastic. Well, I hooked it on the back part first, and I tried to stretch the plastic band over to the metal side. And lo and behold, guess what happened? I broke the plastic piece. The plastic piece is on a 2015 Triumph. Yeah, try getting that part. That ain't gonna happen. So therefore, I had to come up with a creative way to make sure my battery doesn't go bouncing around in the tray in there. Do you think I called somebody who just talks all the time? No, I called a doer. I called someone who knows it. My buddy Ted, he's a mechanic. And I go, look, man, this is what I did. His response was, oh, you're going to love this. Oh, snap. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what it did. Snap. He figured out another way to secure the battery in there, and just over the phone. It's not like he had not dealt with this before. And I was very frustrated, and I asked him, do you think I can get that piece again? Do you think I can find that piece anywhere? And here was his response to me. This is a doer. This is a guy who works on motorcycles every single day. He does it as a professional. So he's a doer of the motorcycle word. And he said this to me: Bob, your motorcycle's not going to be perfect forever. And if you find that piece, it's not going to matter, because guess what? It's going to get hot and cold and hot and cold, and it's plastic, and it's going to snap also. It was a poor design at best. What you can do, and he came up with some alternative methods, using Velcro, using straps, using different methods, and he goes, and this will work just fine, and you won't have to worry about it anymore. That's the difference. That's the difference. You know, I could call some know-it-all who doesn't do anything, and they'd be like, oh no, your battery's going to blow up. It's going to shoot up through the top of your gas tank, and the positive battery terminal's going to stick through your skull, and you're going to die on your Triumph Speed Triple, because he's just a talker. He's not a doer. He doesn't know anything, but he thinks he knows everything. Avoid those people. Just avoid them. They're not helpful. They're not making your life better, and they're not going to make your life better. And you don't want to be one of those people, because if you are, you're not making anyone else's life better. Let's turn around here. That sun is right in our face, isn't it? Well, here we go. Look at that. Well, look at that. But now that we know that there's practical application across the entire spectrum of life, whether it is taking care of a machine, being a good dad, being a good mom, working a job, that sort of stuff, building boats, there's always a definite way to do those things. And if you have the knowledge, that's only a small part of it. You have to be a doer. But how can that apply to our lives as being good children of the King? And what that is when you know the right thing to do and it's unpopular, you just have to do the right thing anyway. You just have to do the right thing. And it's not going to be fun either. I'm going to tell you it's not. You're going to get hate mail. You're going to have people call you names. You're going to have people look down their nose at you. It's going to happen. If you toe a moral line in this country today, you're going to be browbeaten. You're going to be called bad things. And if you can't accept that, you're going to be miserable, or you're not going to be a doer. So I would say, don't be miserable and be a doer, knowing that the adversary is out there, and he's going to come coming for you. He's gunning for you. And I'm going to leave that one right there, because that, my friends, is going to be the topic of next week's Worship on Wheels. And I look forward to hanging out with you and doing it again next week. But until then, know this, my friends, you, yes you, woo, that sounds bright, you are loved, and so am I. And that is great, great news. Now, go change the world.